Welcome to this class, Yoga for Triathletes. This class focuses on balance. Super important if you want to keep your running and cycling economy high. So let's get started. So we're going to start in a nice, comfortable seated position. Any position is fine. Just find somewhere that's comfortable. Sit up nice and straight. Find some length in that spine. Imagine your crown of your head is being pulled upwards, and roll the shoulders up to the ear, down the back. So our head's going upwards, our shoulders are coming down towards our front, and we're just going to start with a bit of breathing. So we'll breathe in to the count of 3. 1 will kind of fill up the top of our lungs and our throat, 2 the rest of our lungs, and then 3 try and pull that belly and bring some oxygen into there. And then as we breathe out, we're just going to do the same thing. So first off, emptying the bottom of our belly. Obviously there's not much actual air in our belly, and then go up to the middle of our lungs, and then finally the top. In and out through your nose if you can. It's not always possible. I know when I'm blocked up it's really hard. But we'll just start with inhale, 2, 3, and exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. We'll just keep this going a few more rounds in our own time. Tonight's focus is balance, so if you've got anything around you that you might fall into, it might be good to move that before we get started. Although if you do have like a bed or a chair or anything, it might be useful to leave there, because we're going to work up to half moon today, which is a kind of intermediate balance, I guess, and so you might want to have something to hold on to just to get into the pose. You don't need any props, but if you do have some cushions to hand, they might come in handy later on, depending on your level of flexibility. Just let your breath return to normal now, and then we'll come onto our mats, and we're going to start on our backs today. So come find a nice, comfortable position laying down, legs out long. You can bring the hands to the belly. Again, feel the breath going in and out. Then we're going to bring our right knee in towards us, hug it in, and then using our left hand, we're going to guide it across our body, trying to keep both shoulders on the ground, so you don't have to get the knee down to the floor, just as far as it will go, till you feel a nice stretch. Then it's sinking down into the floor with the shoulders. Should feel a nice stretch down the side, down the spine. And we'll come back to centre, and we'll take that leg out long, bring the left leg in, and again take the right hand and just guide it over the body, trying to keep the shoulders on the floor just as far as the leg will go. Then we'll come back to centre, and we'll scooch our feet in so that our heels are pressed up against our bum. And from here we'll come down into bridge pose, so bring your arms down so they're next to you. And on the inhale, press into the feet and raise the hips up, squeezing into the glutes. And on the exhale, gently roll the spine back down to the mat. Inhale to bring everything up again. exhale to come back down. We'll just do a couple of these again in our own breath. Pushing into all four corners of the feet, trying to get those hips as high as possible, and then rolling the spine down nice and slowly. Make this your last one. And then when you're back down, we'll come back up. And we're coming onto our side here. So a couple of notes about tonight. There is some upper body stuff. We're going to do a side plank as well, which if you're really pushing yourself would be this. But if you're feeling that's a bit too strong for you in the arm, you can always come down onto the elbow, or even come down all the way, keep the hips on the ground, or just have them off, whatever works for you. Right now we can keep the hips on the ground because we're just going to do a few oysters, so 90-degree bend in the knees, and then on the inhale we're just going to roll the knee up and exhale to bring it back down. Inhale to bring it up, exhale to come back down. Make this your last one, and then we'll swap onto the other side. So again, find that 90-degree bend in the knees, and then just on the inhale, roll the leg up. And make this your last one. Then we'll come down onto our front and we'll come into an extended puppy. So again, we've got that 90-degree bend in our knees, and then we're just going to send the arms out long. Maybe the forehead finds the ground, and just really walk the fingers forward till you feel a big stretch around the shoulders and the back. And then we're going to walk our hands over to the left. So you should get a big stretch down the right hand side, but you can walk that left hand out a bit and still keep the stretch down both sides as well. And then we'll walk our hands back to centre, and then we'll walk them out to the right as well. Again, big stretch down that left side. Maybe a stretch down the right side is still there as well. And then we'll come back to centre. And we'll come up and find our tabletop. So we want our knees under our hips, wrists under our shoulders. And then from here, just have a bit of a wiggle around, get the body moving. Doesn't really matter what you look like, whatever feels good at this point. You're on Zoom, no one's watching you. And then find stillness in your tabletop. And from here we're going to tuck our toes, and we're just going to lift our knees off the mat just an inch. Keep breathing while you do this. Very easy to forget to stop breathing. Lower them back down. If you need to drop out early, no problem. Let's do 2 more. So we'll come up. We'll keep breathing. Ooh. Feel those muscles waking up and turning on. Come back down. Final one. Hover those knees just slightly. 3, 2, 1. Let's drop them back down. Hopefully you're feeling a bit warmer now. I'm going to de-layer. And we'll continue our warm-up at the top of our mat with some sun salutations. Just come to stand at the top, roll the shoulders up and down the back, finding a nice tall body, the shoulders melting away. We'll inhale the arms up, palms meet above us. We'll exhale down into a nice deep forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Bring that chest down to the thighs. And then from here, come lift halfway. So try and find a flat back. You could rest a nice dinner on. And we'll exhale back down into that fold. And we'll step back, find our plank. Strong through the shoulders, nice solid body that a pirate could walk the plank on. And then we'll drop our knees, untuck our toes, lower all the way down to the mat. From here, push into the hands, find our back bend, our cobra, just as far as it's comfortable in this early stage. Come back down, take an inhale breath to prepare, and then tuck the toes and push your hips back and down into down dog. Take a couple of breaths here in our first down dog. If you want to extend each leg, bend the other one, walking out your dog, feel free. Find that nice inverted V shape. And then from here, we'll walk up to the front of our mat. So we're back in our forward fold. And we'll inhale the arms up and exhale them down to heart center. 2 more of these a bit quicker and then we'll be done with the warm-up. So inhale the arms up and exhale down into our fold. Inhale to lift halfway, find that flat back, straight legs if possible, look forward. Exhale to come back down into the fold, plant the hands, step back, find that nice plank position. You can drop the knees here or just lower down in one straight line. Untuck the toes, inhale into our cobra, again looking up if that feels good on the neck, and then come back down, tuck the toes, push back into down dog. Find that nice inverted V, bend the knees as much as you need to. And then we'll walk or hop to the top of the mat. We're back in our forward fold. We'll inhale the arms up, exhale them down to heart center. Final one, inhale the arms up, exhale down to fold. Inhale to our halfway lift. Exhale to come back down into the fold. Sit back, find your plank. Lower down to the mat. Keep the elbows tucked in as we push up into cobra. And exhale. Come back into down dog. We'll just take a couple of breaths here as we move into our standing poses. Push the heels down towards the ground once you've found length in the top of the body. Then from here, I'm going to move forward so I've got a bit more space. I'm going to take the right leg into the air for three-legged dog. Keep the hips square, it's not a hip turnery one. The hips still pointing down towards the ground. And then step the foot through and we'll find ourselves in our high lunge position. From here, we'll windmill the arms up and find our warrior two. So we've got a nice bend in the front knee, heel to arch alignment as our heel cuts through our back foot. sink the hips down, straight back leg, and then we'll flip the front palm, come into our reverse warrior, a nice stretch down the side of the body, and we'll come back, find our warrior two, and we'll step the back foot up to meet the front foot, and from here we'll find our tree pose. So you can have your foot down here by the ankle, press it into the calf, try and avoid the knee, or you can bring it all the way up here. Do whatever you want with your hands. You can do this, you can do this, whatever the level of challenge you would like today. It's a nice warm-up balance. Find your drishti, your yogic gaze, the fixed point that helps you stay balanced. And then we'll bring that leg back down. And we'll come down into a nice deep forward fold here. Maybe you grab hold of opposite elbows. Have a little sway around. And then from here we'll find our chair pose. So we'll sweep the arms up, sit the hips back. Try and keep the chest pointing upwards if you can. It's very hard, depends on your ankle flexibility. And then we'll come back down into that fold. We'll plant the hands and we'll step back into our down dog. And then from here, this time we'll take the left leg into the sky. Again, I'm keeping the hips pointed down. Doesn't matter how high that leg goes. And then we'll step it between the hands. So we've got a high lunge here on our left side now. And again, we'll windmill those arms up. Find our warrior two. On this side, flip the front palm, come back into our reverse warrior. Nice side stretch. Pressing into all corners of the feet. Come back, find your warrior two. And then we'll step that back foot up again. And we'll come to tree on this side. Always find it helps to really jam that foot into my leg, otherwise it just slips down. Ooh. Keep breathing. And then we'll bring that foot back down to the mat. We'll stand at the top of our mat and we'll flow through. So we'll inhale up, palms meet above us, exhale down into our fold, inhale to come up halfway, find that flat back, look forward, exhale to come back down into the fold, step back, find your plank, and then we'll lower down and come up into cobra or up dog if you would prefer, and then we'll push back into down dog. Again, finding that nice inverted V shape, finding length throughout the upper body, bend the knees if you need to. I'm going to spin round so you can see this next bit a bit better. So we're in our down dog, and this time we're going to take the right leg into the sky again for three-legged dog, but this time we are going to turn the hips out and try and stack the hips on top of each other. So we're keeping our shoulders square, but we're rolling that hip out, and then we'll come back and step it through. And again, we'll windmill the arms up, find our warrior two, and we'll straighten that front leg, and we'll come down into our triangle pose. So our arm comes down, could come to the floor, most likely to come to the shin unless you're very bendy. because we want to be turning that heart up to the sky as our arm goes the other way. And then we'll come back up, bend into that front knee again, find that warrior two. And we'll step the back foot up to meet the right foot. And we'll bring that knee up, left knee's in the air, grab it with your left hand. And then if you're super bendy, you could also straighten the leg and grab your big toe. I'm not bendy enough to do that, so I'm going to grab the knee and then we're going to turn it outwards. Use your other hand for balance again. Find that yogic gaze, that drishti that helps you balance. And then we'll bring that leg back down. And from here, we'll come down into a nice forward fold again. And then we'll come back into our chair pose, so sweep the arms up, send the hips back, try and move the chest up. And this time, if you can, raise up onto your tiptoes and back down. One more, up onto the tiptoes. Ooh. And come back down into a well-earned forward fold. So from here we'll plant the hands, we'll step back. And we're in our down dog again. And then this time we'll take that on the other side. So our left leg goes into the air for three-legged dog. And then we roll it out, trying to stack the hips on top of each other, keeping the shoulders square. And then come back, step it through, and come up, find your warrior two on this side. We'll straighten that front leg, and we'll find our triangle pose on this side. So again, we're trying to turn the heart up to the sky. We don't want to be caving in if possible. And if you need to bring your hand up higher on the leg to do that, totally fine. And then we'll step, we'll come back, we'll find our warrior two, and we'll step that right foot up to meet the left and take it out in front of us for a hand to big toe pose or hand to knee pose. Okay, 2 more breaths and then we'll come down. Okay, bring that leg back down and come down into a nice deep forward fold. And from here, we'll step back to plank. We'll lower up all the way down to the mat. Inhale to find our cobra. And we'll exhale back for a quick down dog, and then we'll take the knees nice and wide, bring the big toes to touch, and come down into a nice child's pose. Take a couple of breaths here. And we'll come back up and find our down dog. Again, I'm going to spin around so you can see a bit better. But we'll find our down dog. And then we're going to take that right leg into the sky. And we're going to pivot on that foot on the ground and stack the right foot on top of it. So if you want to take a modification, as we discussed earlier, then do, but otherwise, find your side plank. I'm going to try and stay for 3 breaths here. Bring that arm down, step that right foot between the hands, spin round again, and then we'll come back up. We'll find our warrior two, and then we're going to straighten that front leg. We're going to find our triangle pose again, and then from here we're going to come into our half moon pose. So we're going to shift the weight forward into that front leg, bring our other leg out behind us, and then try and raise that hand up there. So if you want to hold on to something like that, you can. You want to bring that hand down to the ground. Definitely looks a lot better when you're hanging on to something. Don't worry if you fall out of it. It's a super tough balance, this one. And we'll come back down. And we'll just take a breath. It's a challenging one. So let's just go through that one more time. So we'll find our triangle legs again. And we'll come down into that triangle pose. And you can stay here if you're just finding this balance super annoying. But if you want to give it a go again, shift that weight into the front leg. Two more breaths. And then let's come down. And let's take a nice deep forward fold at the top of our mat. From here, let's inhale the arms up. Let's exhale back down into a fold. Inhale to lift halfway, find that flat back. Exhale to come back down into the fold. Plant the hands, step back into plank. Lower all the way down to the mat. Push up into our cobra. And then push back into down dog. So let's take that on the other side. Let's take that left leg into the air. And then let's pivot on that foot. Find our side plank if you can. Modified side plank is fine. And come back down. And then we'll step that left foot between the hands, and again we'll windmill the arms up, find our warrior two on this side, straighten out that front leg, and come down into our triangle pose. And then we'll start shifting the weight forward into that front leg and try and find a half moon on this side. You need to do it in short bursts and then come out of it, shake your legs out. Totally fine. Or if you want to go off and grab a chair, something to hold on to. Really does make it easier. Oh. Last few seconds, last go. Okay, nice job. Let's take a nice wide stance and we'll come down into our squat, our malasana. If you've got any water, now's a great chance to grab a drink. We just stretch out. If you've got cushions handy, it's sometimes helpful to shove them under your feet. You'll be glad to know that's all the hard work done. It was pretty intense today. It didn't feel that intense in practice. So I hope you were ready for a workout. Let's come down onto our front. And try and grab hold of your ankles. And we'll come up into bow pose. So if you can, lift the thighs up. Lift the gaze. Keep breathing. Come down. And then one more time. Lift the thighs up. Lift the gaze up. And then we'll bring our hands under us. Find a 90-degree bend. Bring the legs together into Sphinx Pose. Nice easy stretch on the back. Bring the gaze up. And then from here, we'll come up and we're back in our tabletop. And we're going to take the right leg out behind us, plant the toes, and then just gently push the heel back to stretch out the calf. Balance is super important for running and cycling, because you can train your VO2 max and you can train your lactate threshold, but a lot of the big gains to be made in your speed are increasing your running economy, going faster for the same level of effort. Let's bring that leg in front of us. We're coming down into Pigeon, so cross the leg out. Try and keep the hips square, and then just sit down into the hips. Because the smaller amount of energy you can use, the faster you're going to be able to go, or you're going to be able to go for longer, or it's just going to feel easier. And the more time we spend balancing, the less energy we have for going forward. I think it's important to point out as well that our poses don't have to look the same. We've all got different lengths arms, different length legs, different levels of flexibility. So if your pose looks different, doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Just means you have a different body, and everyone does have a different body. Let's take that right leg back, and then we'll send the left leg out long, and we'll find our calf stretch on the other side. And then we'll bring that left leg out in front of us, right leg behind it, and we'll sit back into those hips. One thing that is pretty terrible for running economy is hyperflexibility. So I get a bit jealous of the super bendy yogis sometimes, but it's actually not helpful at a certain point, because if you're quite stiff, you get quite a lot of return out of your bones. So there's definitely a middle ground of flexibility. And then we'll bring that leg behind us, and we'll bring the legs together, and we'll come back, sit on the heels, stretching out the ankles. So that nice and tall, find length in that spine again. And then from here we'll interlace the hands, and if you can, turn them to face away from you, so that you spin around a bit, your palms are facing up, and then take them up to the sky. We want to try and not arch the back, so if you find yourself really arching the back as you go, maybe bring them a bit forward. We want to try and keep a fairly neutral spine if we can. At the point where you start arching your back, that's the point where you would be throwing your body position out in swimming. So you probably don't want to go further than that. And then we'll bring them back behind us, interlace them behind our back, push them up, and you can round the spine, tuck the chin. And then we'll come back up. And we'll come round to sit on our bottoms, legs out long. And we'll go into a forward bend from here, a seated forward bend, my nemesis. Try and keep the back and the legs straight if you can. Doesn't matter whether you get to the toes or not. I've spent a long time not being able to get to my toes. Should feel a big stretch down, all the way down the backs of your legs here. You coming to stretch, little munchkin? Hey, Bear Bear. You have to do yoga if you're staying here though, Bear Bear. No. Let's come down onto our backs. And we'll bring the knees in. If you can, grab hold of the soles of the feet and try and pull your knees down towards your shoulders as your feet face up to the sky. And then we'll take them halfway down and we'll let them flop over to the left side. Try and keep your shoulders on the ground here. You can cactus the arms, you can T-shape the arms, you can basically do whatever you want with the arms, but if you can, keep the shoulders on the ground. And we'll hug the knees back into the chest. Maybe have a little rock around, massaging the lower back. And then we'll let them flop over to the right side. Again, trying to keep those shoulders on the ground so we get that nice spinal twist, that lovely release. And we'll hug the knees back into the chest one more time. And then we're going to set up for Shavasana. So if you want to grab any extra layers as you start cooling down, now's a good chance to do that. And then we'll find our corpse pose. So take your legs as wide as you would like. Let the arms flop down by the side, or you could bring them to your belly. Feel your body melting into the floor. Gently allow the eyes to close. And focus on your breathing, that sensation of the air moving in and out of your lungs. And let's scan through the body to release any tension in the forehead, the cheeks, the jaw, the shoulders and the neck. Can they sink down into the floor anymore? What are your hands doing? What are your fingers doing? Are they at their most relaxed? Your hips melting down to the floor. Your legs flopping wherever they lay. Releasing the tension in your toes. And then bringing the attention back to your breath. And we'll just rest here for a minute or two. Working on our mindfulness, our ability to sit with the thoughts that come and go through our head. Especially important when exercising, because a lot of the thoughts are, this is quite uncomfortable, I would like to stop. And if we want to perform to our best, then being able to sit with those uncomfortable sensations and keep going is the thing that will get us to the end of the race. Let's bring our attention back to our body and the ground beneath us. Slowly introducing some movement back into the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, moving that movement into your wrists, into your ankles. Maybe the arms start moving, maybe the legs start moving. If you've got the space, send the arms up overhead, bring the legs together, find your pencil stretch. And then hug the knees into the chest one final time. Maybe have a rock and roll around. If that feels good on the back. And then with the eyes still closed, or with them open, make your way up into a seated position. Sit up nice and tall, find length in the spine. Bring the hands to heart center. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Tuck the chin. Namaste. Thank you for coming to practice tonight. Hope you found that good, maybe a bit more challenging than normal, and I will see you again soon.